Hello and welcome to a new edition, a fresh edition of Live Conversation with Victor James. I am Victor James, and it's been my privilege and honor to, all this while bring you the word, bring you the explanations, bring you the illustrations, the stories, the history, the biographies, the thought processes, my opinion, thoughts, and conversations, It's been, thank God, it's an expression, an extension of my life. And I'm grateful that I'm able to do this. All right. So this is a new edition, and I just want to, first of all, appreciate and encourage you to be strong. So when we say to be strong, I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about strength. When you tell somebody, for example, to be strong, it will suggest that it's something that comes with external factors, Oh, be strong. It's like it's a destination that somebody needs to grow into strength. You just tell somebody, be strong. Try and be strong. I think the conception is you need to acquire strength. Good, let me put it that way. But really, it's something that is within you. So strength is what you create rather than what you acquire. In that case, now you are only strong because you decide. I'm sorry, I know it seems simplistic, like as if I'm simplifying it by saying you decide it, but really it is you decide to be strong. You decide to be strong. I was carrying, let's say, I carry a generator by myself a few days ago, and if you want to carry a generator from here to here, of course you have to lift it above your chest so that you don't develop back pain later on. But the point here is when you lift the generator, something as massive and heavy as a big gen. Anyway, what is the meaning of big gen? Well, it's not small gen anyway. I don't know if it's medium or big gen. But yeah, so you carry from here to there. The temptation is let me drop it in the middle and rest and start again. It's the same thing too that happens when the times I used to fetch water 15 years ago or 20. I used to fetch water, when I became a boy, because I wanted to prove that I'm a big boy, I'll carry 2 kegs. One on the right, one on the left. That's those little boy kegs. So the temptation, I'm sure you understand what I mean. The temptation is to stop in the middle, or which you do a lot of times. You drop it, you gather strength, you gather courage, you gather catch your breath, and then you continue for the second part of the next part of the journey. So when I realized when I'm carrying these kegs of water or the generator, I asked myself, so what if I don't stop? What will happen? Nothing. It's just that my muscles will take longer time to recover afterwards, but nothing will happen. Yeah, if you hold something in your hand and you don't drop it, your mind will be telling you to drop it earlier, but you are saying, I'm not dropping it. That is strength. That's all. You decide to be strong. You are discouraged. Let's don't even talk about the psychological before we talk about the spiritual. You are discouraged about something, a negative news, another regret mail. You don't understand what path you should take in life. You are wondering, would this one not leave you behind? You are thinking, is it not getting too late for this to happen in your life? You have to decide to be strong, because if you are weak, what will happen is this will turn into disappointment. Disappointment turns into discouragement. Discouragement turns into weariness. Weariness becomes defeat, and then you give up. Giving up may be true. You just begin to cry and feel sorrowful over your own self, over your life, or you just decide not to hope anymore. You decide not to give it a try. You decide not to believe anymore. You just sit down and defeat. Defeat is a different expression for everybody, but you know that what brought you here is disappointment, discouragement, and that whole levels of and then weariness, and you get here. But that is weakness. To be strong now is when the thought comes into your head, you say, I'm getting discouraged. What is really happening? I've been trying to move to the next stage, to get better, to improve, to be better than this, but I'm failing. The thought process in your head is now, you have to now realize that I know I can envisage, I can anticipate where this would end. Therefore, that's enough. I will refuse to feel sorry for myself. I refuse to fall. I refuse. So you develop mental strength. And then you don't just, of course, you understand that it's something that needs to happen but has not happened. You need more money, yes, but you do not have. Rather than the sorriness part of it, the sorrow and discouragement and weariness part of it, what you should emphasize must be, what should I do? What must I do? All right. So it's the same thing too with spiritual strength. The devil already understands you. You know, you've been alive for over 20 years. He knows what he used in the past to defeat you. So he comes with mostly the same thing, right? I mean, he doesn't even bother. He's not even a creative guy. He just uses the same thing to just say, okay, let's go again. Being strong means that you are deciding, well, I'm not falling this time. That's it. Do you I know it sounds simplistic, but that's it. The temptation comes again. Let's go ahead and go back into what you have left behind. And you actually decide in your mind, you can say it out. Several people say it out. Oh, devil, that's enough. That's enough. I'm not doing that. So you decide. Of course, people will now say, oh, this guy is strong. The angels in heaven, the kingdom of God would clap for you, applaud you. But it fell to your decision eventually. It was a product of you deciding that that's it. I'm not going to fall again and give you one more upper hand. You know? So this is how strength generates. You generate strength by deciding, I'm not going to be weak this time. I'm not going to accept defeat. I'm not sinning. I won't touch the sin. I refuse to touch it. No. Oh yeah, what of the pleasure? Take this? Nobody will see you. I know. But for this time, I'm not doing. I refuse to. You know? So it's the same thing too. Let's talk about, you are trying to build consistency, you are trying to work, and then the temptation comes. Okay, again, what is even weakness? Weakness is you not being able to be strong, which is you not being able to decide to say no or yes. You not be able to do what it is that your own soul desires. You want to get to heaven, your soul, but your flesh is the flesh that's the problem. The flesh is our enemy. I said that some podcasts ago. All right. So you know that if you are not going to allow the weakness to win, which is, for example, you say, oh, I would work for 4 hours today. Then in the early morning of, let's say, Saturday, you just want to say, I work for 4 hours on my personal project. In the early morning, there's the temptation, oh, let's watch football, let's watch film, let me sleep in, let me quickly watch this episode. It is your own strength to now say, oh no, that's it. I need to do this work. So you are saying it, you are deciding. Of course, you say you were strong in that time of temptation. Today is Sunday, people are going to church. You can see your church social media already trying to gain some traction online to say, oh yeah, let's go. So Sunday has begun. You could see people on your street already preparing. You just say, let me join online today. I'm not going. It is within you. It is within you. The ability is within you to still tell yourself too that I'm going. I would attend. I'm not sitting down in the house today. I'm going to church. 3 hours time, I'll be back. Otiton, that's it. Pardon my French. It's just the conclusion of it. You decide that you are going to be strong, and that is what you call strength. So let's talk about. I know that health and our medical state and health and immunity is not the same, but permit me to cite this example. So ever before I studied immunology in University of Benin, I had understood a bit of immunity. So whenever I got sick, usually, of course, we know it's malaria. I was growing up to 10, 11, 12. I just, at the beginning, you will just, you are feeling sick. What's the next thing? You go and sit down. And then you administer medication. You just sit down. You are shivering because you are feeling cold. It's the normal response to sickness. There was a time, I believe I was 12. So by this time, I had loved football. I just realized that I was feeling sick, and then the love for football just overcame my thought for sickness. So I felt I'm not going to sit down here, be shifted while football is going on. So I played ball. Even though I believe I was feeling that sickness from around 1 o'clock, let's say, close to the closing time of my secondary school there, which was 2 o'clock. So, but that means that I would just sit down there or go home and be shivering and be feeling, the high temperature fever. I just decided that I would play ball regardless. Inside, in the sun. Play that ball for about 3 hours left. Maybe we'll return home around 3, 4. So I realized that after I did this the first time, I didn't remember that I was sick again. It became very clear to me that even in this sickness, it seems that I have some control over it, whether I collapse or not. Ladies and gentlemen, from that 11 years old to today, that's the same strategy that I employ whenever I can feel sickness knocking. Of course, so it was football I was using before at the beginning. I would play football. I used that for years. Then later on, I would use it in a hot amala, especially. So whenever I feel sick, I would try and eat hot food, swallow, because it's very hot. It has a lot of latent heat as opposed to things like rice. So you would sweat. Once I sweat and I'm sweating, water is is pouring from my face as if I'm inside the swimming pool. I just forget about the malaria. So, you know what this did? But I now realized that I built a lot of immunity from somebody who used to get sick with malaria before, because I didn't rate it until January 19 or so, 2009. Yeah, I remember that January 2009. That was when I now got really, really sick. That I was now nothing. My process could not overcome it. I fell apart. Used a lot of injection before I recovered. Yeah. So the point anyway is that, of course, when I recovered from that one, and I resumed my being strong, deciding not to fall. The last time I had malaria, now I'm sure because I went out, I went to church, I was doing everything, but I knew that I was feeling it. But I just refused, because I believe being strong is something you decide. And let me say this, of course, we are all peculiar. Of course, I don't expect everybody to decide I don't expect everybody to have the same genetic makeup and immunity built up over these years, like myself. Of course, there are other lifestyle factors apart from even genetic factors. But the knowledge is the same for all of us. The knowledge that once there is a weakness or sickness or spiritual temptation or a decision to go back on your word, it is in you to say that I refuse to be weak. It is in you. All of us, we have the ability to now say, no, I'm not doing this. Mental strength. How did this podcast come about? I'd wanted to record since yesterday because, yesterday or 2 days ago, because a church member of mine mentioned it on Sunday that I've missed 2 weeks. Thank you very much for saying that. I hope you are listening to this. So I knew that I would record. But I kept saying I'm not recording on Monday. I'm not recording on Tuesday. Today is Friday. I didn't want to record again. I was doing other things. You would always have something to do. But why? If I continue to allow the mind win, that's I will have a weak mind. And that's what happens to many of us, that we can't really be productive. Because we have allowed so many times the flesh to win. Oh, don't worry. Watch this dirty film now. Now, don't worry. Don't go to church now. Just sleep. Don't worry now. Just binge on this series instead of reading the book you decided by yourself that you would read. No, don't go out and visit that friend. It's too far. Just sleep in your house and send him a message on WhatsApp. Don't pray, George. Let's just lie down here and go through the social media. So we are so weak now because we always allow the flesh, let me call it the mind, the weaker part of us to win. The one that's always wants ease and comfort. We cannot do something, anything tangible or great by doing this, by living this way. It is a fact. I'm telling you. This is more of a talk to myself. It's not a motivation. You just lucky to be hearing it because I'm posting it publicly. But I'm telling myself, what sort of life is this? To just allow ease and comfort and this laziness to win is something to refuse to do. I must stand up and pray if I decide to pray. Once I feel the need to pray and the desire arises to pray, and there's no desire, I say I will pray by this time of the day. I stand up to pray. The devil comes and says, why not do this? Why not follow this path that you have left behind? Why not chat this person? Why not go into this? Why not do this? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that. That's all. You just say I'm not doing, because you think about it. Once you cannot allow your weakness to always win, or else you become a weak human being, and that will be your entire life. God forbid. Even in sickness, I make bold to say biologically. Oh, I'm feeling I'm feeling this fever. I'm feeling I can't go out today. Go out. Go out. I'm not saying we should not rest, of course. I'm sure that we all have the understanding. You rest when you are supposed to rest. But when your own flesh, you understand what I'm saying, your own weakness of the mind is not telling you to just be sleeping. You have to kick against that, because you didn't come to this world to sleep. You need to go out more. Oh, I don't want to go out today. Oh, the sun is shining. Did the sun kill you in these times? Or how many years you've been in this world? You cannot always allow this feeling of ease. Again, I'm talking to myself. But of course, I'm sharing this. So I'm talking to all of us. It's something that we must stop to say, that's enough. Let's go to Jesus, the greatest to ever live. Do you think, I'm sure people think that Jesus was, he found it easy. He found it easy to have mere men, Sadducees, pushing you here and there, they're accusing you here and there. Sometimes they will want to stone you. Do you know who Jesus is? It took strength to not give in to emotion, which maybe I should talk about. Emotion. Thank God that I remember that. Even you cannot give in. Of course, that feeling of weakness is that comfort, that is of course it's an emotion in itself. It's an emotion of passiveness. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to do anything tasking. You just want to lie there. But now let's talk about anger. Let's talk about lust. Let's talk about emotions, strong emotions. You do not have to give in to them because that's the natural response in your body from your history. From all you have done up till now, the natural response is to shout back, is to scream at somebody, is to continue to look lustfully, to linger your eyes on somebody's body, and allow your mind to be drifting into things, into imagination. You have to stop it in its track. You cannot allow lust to rule over your life. And apart from lust, you cannot allow anger to rule over you. You are just angry. If you blast somebody, you must show some strength. The strength is, I am angry, but let it go this time. Strength is you decide to have control, to regain the control rather than just giving in to whatever your mind dictates. Again, the weakness of your mind. You don't allow it because you just think, is that life you want to live? You ask yourself, is that the life you want to live? Really? You want to live this kind of life where anything goes, whatever your mind, whatever is the first trigger in your spirit, that's the one you do. You shout at this person, you push this person, you slap that person, you are just an angry bird. Come on now. Come on. At this age, we can't. So to exercise control is strength. And that's what Jesus did while he was living. It takes kudos. It takes a lot of strength. Kudos to Jesus Christ. He didn't blast. He didn't send fire down. He didn't send angels down to destroy. He doesn't need to do much. He will just say it, and that's what would happen. Somebody that raised the dead with words cannot kill. And then, of course, the greatest strength was on the cross of Calvary to bear the burden of pain and believe and be strong enough to convince yourself that, it is for a greater good. I can see the reward. I can see thousands of people. I can see Nigerians. I can see British people. I can see, I think it's called Britons. I can see the English. I can see Scottish. I can see the Indians. I can see Americans. I can see Africans that are going to be born 2,000 years later, still calling upon this name of Jesus just because of this suffering I'm suffering now. Come on, is that reward? For you to be strong enough to pay your attention, to put your attention, to fix your eyes on the goal, the reward that comes, and say, no, I will stay to this cross, and you give up the ghost. That is extraordinary strength. True strength is being able to leave generator. I'm talking about mental strength. And that is the same principle and strategy we must employ. What's your motivation for being strong? Look at the reward. Why will I allow the devil win now? And therefore, I lose my place in heaven. But that's not even the primary thing. More importantly, it becomes more difficult subsequently to say no to him. Whereas, if victory will make you the stronger, once you can win this, you can win the second time. That's many of us, we cannot. People who are addicted to one thing or the other is just simply because they could not say no once. And for 13 years, 9 years, they could never say no once. They kept falling. They keep falling. They keep saying no once. And they say no once more. You will realize that the power of that addiction will cut by half. We slash by half over you. Because you've been able to say no. So I have the ability to, you need that reminder to know that you have the ability to say no to the first emotion in your mind, the first suggestion. I did not get angry. somebody say something terrible. You have even started boiling. You are about to burst like this. Then you call yourself, let me exercise control. Let me tell my own body that my own emotion that it doesn't rule over me. That is mental strength. And then you look at the reward. There is somewhere I want to be. Is that the way I want? Is this the way I would be forever? It's the same thing with prayer. You need to be provoked. Is this the life you want? Is this where you want to be forever? If your answer is no, which I expect it to be no, then of course you need to change. You need to do what you decide to do. You need to read. You need to pray. You need to go out. You need to attend your church. Physically, you need to stand up and walk. Morning, night, rainy, whatever. It's work. Yeah, you do what you need to do because there is a lot of time for enjoyment. All right. So you focus on the reward. It helps you to be strong. But more importantly, I would think that you need it for your own self-validation. To think to yourself, to be able to see of yourself, I am in control of my life, not my emotions, not social media, certainly not the devil. So this has been a podcast about doing your best to be strong, because really, I do not know how one would survive without mental strength. I don't know. How would you survive without mental strength? Without the ability to have control over your mind. That means that everything that is happening now, you will just be wearied by them. You will just be tired. And before you know, you will lose your joy because you have no strength within. But the strength within is built by repeatedly asserting your control over your emotion, over your feelings, over the first thought that comes to your mind. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast of this very blessed day. I wish you a stronger future, and I pray that you will live the life that you want, even more, exceedingly far more than what you expect. That will be the picture of your life by the grace of God. Thank you. I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.